I like to view stress and trauma on a continuum. On the left, we have here the stress, which is normal. We are very, very equipped to deal with stress. Humans also thrive under stress. And when we have normal stressors, we can navigate them with resources. We reach out to other humans, we get support, we get rest, right? We have anxiety or arousal, but then we manage it, right? We get a massage, we go for a walk, we take a weekend off, we do our favorite hobby, whatever it is, we hang out with our pets, right? These are ways that we regulate and manage our anxieties and arousals that we're fully equipped to deal with. We have the ability to rest, digest, and restore. And in fact, each time that we go through a stress cycle, we become more resilient because we learn how to manage it. Right. So there is a lot of good that comes from stressful experiences when we have the opportunity to digest it, understand it, have adequate rest, and then restore our nervous system. And then we can meet life with creativity. How many times have you, because life threw you a curveball, had to adapt and go like, okay, plan B, I have to do this, I guess. And then it turned out to be even more interesting or better than you had imagined. But the adversity that you were facing made you go in that direction. That's grit and resilience. And there's tons of research out there right now from school children that are pampered and taken away from any kind of adversity and doing poorly later on in college to children that had adequate support during their adverse phases that learned resiliency and overcome some of those stressors with support do much better later on in college. There's lots of research out by Carol Dweck from Stanford University if you want to drill into that kind of body of work. But there's a lot of evidence that stress in itself is not bad. And there can be right now in this world where we're bombarded with stressful events and trauma in every corner where we look right now, and a lot of awareness of collective trauma, historical trauma, where you just have to open any app or any newspaper and you go like, oh my goodness, the world feels one big trauma soup. Yes? Do you feel that way sometimes? And then you go, oh my God, I want to look at the roses. um, it can be the perception that everything is trauma. It is not. And I really encourage us as mental health professionals because we see unproportionally, we see people with a lot of trauma. Of course, they come to us because of that. But I also think it's important as therapists to preserve a worldview that not everything is trauma. There's stress that we can cope with, there's stress that makes us grow, there's trauma. We can have post traumatic growth of trauma. And yes, then there is trauma that overwhelms and breaks down the human, right? And that's, of course, we put a lot of focus on. But I really want to keep that in balance because there is the restorative function built in within us, given the right tools and given the right support where the client can recover. And I believe a community can recover and a society can recover. Yeah. And part of it is preserving also our own view on how we look at trauma. So stressors overwhelm coping mechanisms. Yeah. So the stressor becomes so great. This is the tipping point here, where we're beginning to meet normal stress with survival responses. So somebody makes a demand and on you that might be a little stressful, and the response is maybe with a fight response or a fleeing response or freeze response that's out of proportion to the request, perhaps. And that's a very common symptom of a trauma client. There's a disproportionate reactivity there.